Are you dreaming of the lifestyle that comes with successful trading? Well, it's time to make it a reality. Welcome to the Trading Ascension podcast, where you can discover methods to improve your trading results by focusing on your trading psychology. I'm Jason E., your guide on this path to trading improvement, self-discovery, and self-mastery. Together, we'll explore the personal and spiritual growth journey of profitable day trading. Prepare to unlock the secrets of the trader's mind and align your inner self with your personal success. Listen to this episode if you want to ascend to new levels of trading excellence and personal development. This is Trading Ascension, supporting your journey to mastering trading psychology and personal growth for consistent profits. Let's elevate your trading and your consciousness starting now. In today's episode, I want to bring our conversation to the front lines. We spend a lot of time preparing, business planning, strategizing for our daily encounters with the market. And this preparation is essential. Our odds of success, they rise with a solid strategy and a trading plan. We really improve our odds. But as every day trader knows, the market often throws punches that we didn't see coming. When that happens, all we can do is return to the, success generator system, regroup for the next round, the next day, next trading encounters. But today I want to coach you for more of the corner man's position. If I was going to use the analogy of a boxer, not just offering advice between rounds, but shouting real-time advice from the ringside. You know those moments in boxing or MMA, if you are familiar with either, when the camera cuts to the corner and you see the corner man, you hear the coaches and they're giving urgent, actionable advice. That's my role today, to give you a pre-fight speech. Even though I'm not physically there when you trade, I also want to share words I like to say to you while you're trading, or what I say to myself in some form as guidance when the pressure is on. So I'll see if I can rant. If you've ever entered the trading day prepared, but maybe a bit anxious, but ready on, many levels, only to have things go south and find yourself slipping into old, unhelpful habits that tank your attitude, if you experience that, this episode is for you. We're focusing on tips to help you in real time as a day trader. The key takeaway: fourth dimensional thinking can elevate your trading. Maybe you've come into the day equipped with all the great strategies, advice from areas, advice from this community. But in the heat of the moment, you've wondered, what do I do now? How do I combat these emotions or habits that are trying to hijack my state of mind, or already have pushed me to act against my own best interest? If that sounds familiar, this episode is for you. Today, we'll explore actionable advice and steps that you can take while you're actually trading. Let's start by building a foundation of what's to come. I always make sure to start with research and a strong foundation of information, because it helps us truly understand the actions I suggest. Too often, arguments or conveying new ideas, they start in the middle somewhere, right? They don't build the foundation. And then when that happens, it can be tough for some of us to wrap our minds around and wrap our heads around the real reason behind the action. So let me give you an example. This is not directly related, but it kind of highlights my point. I recently caught a debate. Friends sent me just as like a video, right? Haven't even finished it yet, but I caught the debate between a Christian and an atheist. The Christian wanted to prove God's existence. And sorry, I'm dropping stuff over here. So the Christian wanted to prove God's existence, right? Of course, they're in a debate. And He opened with, God said in the Bible. Now, for an atheist, that's a huge leap, right? Just to get to the starting point. If you don't believe in a higher being, quoting that being from a book that you don't acknowledge, that's a stretch. Now, even, me as a man of faith, I thought, ooh, that's a tough path to take. Probably not going to get anywhere from there, right? You know what I mean? So when it comes to our trading or any area of growth, if you want to understand why we should seek out fourth dimensional thinking, we need to start with a foundation of data and context. That way, the actions that we take make sense and you're not just following advice blindly or struggling to connect the dots. So, number one, this is building the foundation. We live in duality. There are opposing forces acting on everything on Earth. We see it everywhere. Light and dark, up and down, joy and sorrow. Even our brains have a right and a left hemisphere. Another example of the balance and the contrast, the duality, is that this is a reality that is, I guess, conveyed through the balance. So duality is woven into the fabric of our experience. If you want to explore this further, you can always go down two fascinating, there's probably many, but there's two fascinating rabbit holes, physics and metaphysics. The physics perspective, we have experiments and understandings like the wave particle duality, right? Because in quantum mechanics, there's a concept called wave particle duality. We've talked about the, split slit experiment a lot on this show. And what that means is that the fundamental particles like the electrons and the photons, they can act both like waves and particles. And in that double slit experiment, light creates an interference pattern where it's showing it's a wave when both of the slits are open and they're shooting this energy through it. But you observe it and it acts like particles. So this duality isn't just theory. It's been proven in the lab and is the cornerstone of our modern physics. Now, in metaphysics, right, if we were going to look at a metaphysical perspective, 3D duality as separation shows up in our reality. On the spiritual side, duality is about the polarity of separation. So we're in this 3D world. We experience opposites like the good and the bad, the success and the failure, self and others. And this creates a sense of separation and often leads to judgment. Whether you look at it through the lens of science or spirituality, both perspectives agree duality arises from the interaction of complementary forces, right? Forces that complement each other. I struggle with that word. Is that the word I was thinking? Complementary. I'm not even going to keep trying. Forces that oppose each other, right? Build the duality. Whether you're looking at life from a spiritual perspective or a science perspective, right? That's what I'm saying. So that's the first foundation. Hope that makes sense. 2, the universe is ever expanding. So this duality is expanding. So let's consider the second foundation. The universe is not static. It's always growing, always stretching further. And this expansion is a reminder that growth and change are natural laws, not just in the cosmos, but in our own lives. And most importantly, for this conversation, in our trading journeys. So duality, expanding universe, which leads us to the third point, is that growth comes from contrast. So if we put these ideas together, we can see that accepting duality in the universe's expansion helps us embrace growth, right? And having an accepting perspective, which I think we've touched on in the last 2 weeks, it just helps things happen more naturally without our resistance. So growth in this sense means evolving, changing the way we exist or show up in the world. And nature gives us plenty examples of that. One that I found was trees, right? For instance, there's regions where patterns of rain and drought occur, and the trees have to adapt. So they grow in certain seasons. They store water differently depending on the contrast in the climate. So this ability to adapt and become more resilient is a direct result of facing and overcoming the opposing forces. So, as day traders, when we encounter challenges or emotional swings, we're really experiencing the natural duality of the world, the things that are meant to help us grow. The key is not to resist it, but to use it as fuel for growth, just like those trees. And that's where fourth dimensional thinking comes in, helping us rise above the push and pull of duality to see that bigger picture. As we experience duality, the contrast we face gives us opportunities for greater clarity and self-refinement. And this allows us to advance in our 3D world. Now on the charts, we can, or while we're trading, I should say, while we're trading on the charts, we can anchor this advancement and this improvement, this greater clarity, this refinement. We can advance that by adopting a mindset grounded in the fourth dimension. So the next building block is duality is transcended or overcome in the fourth dimension. So before we go deeper into that, let me just briefly highlight the dimensions for context. I don't want to go down this direction. So just briefly, the first dimension, right? A straight line, one property, length moving forward or backward along a line, one direction, 1 degree of freedom. Any point on that line is a single value. So think about like an x-axis, right? We're creating like a grid here of reality. So the x-axis, single point on that line, that's the first dimension. And then if we add a flat surface like a square, now you have length and width. So you can move forward, backwards, left or right. Think of the x and the y axis, and you have 2 degrees of freedom. Now in the third dimension, our everyday world, it adds depth to the length and the width, forming solid objects like a cube. Movement includes up, down, left, right, forward, backwards, 3 degrees of freedom, X, Y, and Z on a grid. Now in the fourth dimension, you get that hypercube. They call it a tesseract. That's the best way to visualize it. So if you imagine connecting 2 parallel cubes, it adds a directional, perpendicular, what's the word I'm looking for? Aspect to it. And they call that the W axis. So it's hard to picture. You may want to, if you don't know what a hypercube is or tesseract, Google it, look it up. But what matters is the perspective in 4D, you can see all of the 3D aspects at once, just as we in 3D can see all of the 2D aspects at once. So when we look at a grid, anywhere on that grid, right, if they plot a point here, X and Y here, a dot here, X and Y here, we can see all of that at the same time from the third dimension. Someone living in the second dimension, that might be a dot further right, maybe in their future or in their past. Now, when we're in the fourth dimension, we can see all of the third dimension. So here's the key for us as traders. In the fourth dimension and the fifth, for, all intents and purposes, consciousness means perceiving from a higher vantage point. We're all perspectives, even conflicting ones, coexist, and there's no judgment, right? They can coexist. The boundaries that create duality in 3D are transcendent in 4D. So unity and interconnectedness, it becomes apparent. When we operate from this higher perspective, we realize much of the duality we experience, and even we don't even have to operate from this perspective to get to here. When we think about this perspective, we realize much of duality we experience is not forced upon us, but it's a matter of choice. I have a choice. You have a choice. While we can't always control what happens or what thoughts arise, our reaction and where we place our attention is always a choice. In trading, this means facts are the facts, right? But the judgment, the emotional spiral, is optional. Losses that usually sting and trigger old habits can instead be seen as, part of the bigger picture, just as valid and valuable as wins when we view this from the fourth dimension perspective. So think of it this way. A lot of what feels like external pressure or evil or, the devil, whatever you want to call these opposing forces, is simply the play of opposing forces in duality. But unless we give these forces our attention, they have no life in our experience. And if we give them the right attention, they're able to, without resistance, do their job of helping us grow. So it's just like the tree when I think about attention, right? They talk about the tree falling in the forest. Tree falling in the forest makes no sound without an observer. Much of duality in trading only exists when we focus on it. And even if you're like, I recorded the tree and then I listened to it later. Well, hey, you had to listen to it later, right? You had to bring it into your reality to hear that tree fall. So as day traders, adopting a fourth dimensional mindset means a few things. Let me just say three. One, recognizing that emotional swings and market outcomes are part of the larger whole. Also, it means choosing not to judge or spiral, but to observe and integrate the experience. And then it means understanding the growth that comes from contrast, and our response is always within our control. And I want to say that again. As day traders, adopting a fourth dimensional mindset means understanding that growth comes from contrast, and our response is always within our control. Choosing not to judge or spiral, but to observe and integrate the experience within us. And recognizing that emotional swings and market outcomes are part of the larger whole. So as we move forward, let's explore how this 4D perspective, in the heat of the moment while we're trading, what it looks like to make decisions and manage emotions as a trader who sees beyond duality, and how this can fundamentally change your trading outcomes. And don't judge yourself, right? Because trading is the most incredibly hard thing until it isn't, right? Until it just clicks. And then it's still a challenge, right? But we wake up every single day and we step into the arena, not with fear of setbacks, not with fear of judgment, and definitely not weighed down by what anyone else thinks. We have goals, we have a vision, all of that other contrast, the noise, the doubts, the market chaos. It's just a game trying to get our attention. But here's the truth. That noise needs your attention to survive. It feeds off your focus, off your energy. If you take your energy away, it loses all its power. It's scared to die too. So it just lurks in the shadows, waiting for you to slip up, a moment of weakness, hoping you'll let it take center stage again and be the star. Yeah, I made that mistake. Good. That's how I learn. But you, the voice of doubt, the shadow of old habits, You think it's your time to shine at that moment. It's not. You try to hijack my thinking to convince me that who I was is who I am. You've been pulling strings, whispering dead-end questions, why me and all that into my head, using my own voice to talk down on me. That's not me. That's not the truth. That's not my 4D self. It's not me saying I'll never get this. It's not me thinking, oh, I suck. It's not me believing because I lost a trade, now I am a loser. No, pushing you back. I'm reclaiming my attention. I'm placing it relentlessly on what I desire, on the vision I'm building. The facts are the facts, but I control where my mind goes. You can call me out and you can call out to me, but I don't have to answer. I know this path is for me. I know freedom is for me. I know abundance, bliss, joy, happiness, and fulfillment are for me because I am these things. With or without anything in the 3D world, I am these things. I come from the source. I radiate love for my reality. You can't torment me anymore. That happened. Another mistake, so what? I'll bounce back. I'll get up more times than you could never knock me down. Every setback is just another setup for this comeback. Every loss is just a lesson. Every piece of data, another step in my evolution. You send people I know to pull me down, it won't work. I'm on to you. You send random haters, it won't work. I'm on to you. I see through your matrix, cuzzo. I am not defined by contrast. I am refined by it. I'm not here to survive the market. I'm here to master myself within the market. So bring the noise, bring the chaos, bring the duality. I see it for what it is. Just another opportunity to rise above, to operate from my higher self, to trade from the fourth dimension where unity, clarity, and power are my baseline. You see what I'm saying, traders? Don't let up on your adversaries. Not the old way of thinking, not the old bank account numbers, not the old trading brokerage numbers. Don't let up to the old levels that you were on. Hit them in the mouth. And when they fall, put your foot on their neck. When they wiggle, keep your foot on their neck. Not by force, but by withdrawing your life-giving attention that you once gave them. Starve anything not related to your goals and dreams. But here's the thing. The battle as we sit in front of the charts is internal. We need real tools, kicks, and combos to deal with these challenges in the heat of trading. So here are 5 tools you can use in the battle with the market. And the first, we always talk about this, you have to start with a plan and the goal. Your plan is your training, right? Your foundation. If you're not clear on what actions are in your best interest, it's impossible to act in your own best interest. The less discipline you have, the more you need to micromanage your actions. We talked about the if-then statement last week, but you can break that down into being your own supervisor. The more I make mistakes, the more I micromanage myself. We talked a few episodes ago about the if-then sheets to guide my entire day when I'm under micromanagement. So if I lose trade 1, do this. If I lose trade 2, do this. If I win trade 2, do this, right? The structure, the whole day, this is what you do because you're not disciplined enough. So the game plan from a solid mind is going to be written going into the day. And that structure builds momentum for better habits and keeps me anchored when emotions run high until I can get back to a normal self. Not forever, just till I can get back. So start the day with a plan and a goal, and don't be, there's a place where you can overdo it and try to control too much. But as long as you're trying to control your own actions, if you're struggling, days of streaks, losing too many trades in a row abnormally, start micromanaging. Start with a plan and the goal. 2, self-talk and cheerleading. Do not shy away from talking yourself through trades. We're always talking to ourselves, but some people get embarrassed or shy or feel crazy about taking over that conversation. Pretend you're on a live stream. There's plenty of traders on YouTube. Believe me, I scope it. There are plenty of traders on live YouTube that have not arrived, but I promise you they're benefit from having that conversation out loud. Now, maybe at the detriment of their viewers, right? Because the viewers are just getting their attention sucked away. But I want you to pretend that you're on a live stream if you need to motivate yourself. Narrate your entries and your exits. Celebrate your wins. If you avoid a trap that caught you last week, talk that up. You almost got me. Haha, not today, right? Celebrate every moment you show up differently, because that rewires your mind for resilience. If you go ham, go nuts, when you show up different to a situation that may have got you down before. That's so important, because by showing up different, you prove that you're a different person. Don't shy away from talking to yourself through trades. Number 3, talk to the enemy. Call out the saboteur. When fear and doubt shows up, acknowledge it. When you feel that feeling and it's creeping, right? I was talking to a friend about waking up with that feeling of doom, right? Acknowledge it. Give it a name. If you make it a character, like, hey, Jason, right? Maybe that's destructive Jason. I see you trying to get at me, right? You're trying to get me to chase price action. You're trying to get me curious, right? And then one thing I learned recently from a hypnotist is that you can ask questions, because you understand that these entities within, they're serving a purpose, right? So get curious, right? Hey, I see you there, Jason. If I blow this account, what's the payoff for you? Sometimes these emotions are tied to old beliefs, like wanting to fit in with friends when you don't, who don't support your trading goals. Let's just say that's an example. So once you see the purpose, you can consciously release it. So you might ask yourself, let's say that is the situation. Hey, subconscious mind, is it okay for me to let go of the belief of being rejected if I succeed? And you can keep asking until you feel the release. But I promise you, when you know that energy's coming, when you're just feeling it, it's creeping, even right after it starts, which we'll talk about next, acknowledge it, call it out, give it a name, bring it to the light. Now, the reason why it's important here, because we want to starve it eventually, but the reason why it's important here is because it's already there. We don't want it to creep up on us. Ignoring it gives us a chance to kind of that Pink Panther walk, right? Maybe date myself there to sneak up on us. And we're talking about on the chart, so it's already there. So what happens if it is already there? You're feeling that. You've taken rapid trades. You're feeling down. What do you do then? The emotions have showed up. I want you to breathe into these emotions. When you feel anxiety, stress, this is number 4, fear, attack it at the door. Its door. Its home. Start with deep breathing. Remember, shallow breathing is the friend of shallow thinking. So when it shows up, find where the emotion lives in your body. It can be a knot in your stomach, tension in your chest, a pinch in your head, right? Like a migraine feeling. And when you find it, right, you acknowledge it's there. I want you to breathe deeply and imagine the air going in and out of the spot of that discomfort. Chase the feeling. It's going to run a bit because it's not used to you stepping up to it. Chase the feeling. Let your breath soften it. Let your breath and breathing in and out of it lighten it up until it starts to slowly dissipate. I can promise you 100% this works. And you want to do this because dissipation is one of the worst things you can do. You want to breathe into it because if you run from it or if you try to numb yourself from it, it's going to cause worse problems. Now, I'm not judging, but usually this dissipation comes from exercise, sex, gaming can be great, right? But if you use them to escape the moment that you feel overwhelmed, you're going to miss the chance to transcend that wall. You found it. You found the adversary sitting over there and you're going to let him run away. That wall will still be there next time the same catalyst occurs. So instead, breathe through it, move through the tension, and that's how you access the fourth dimension on the other side of that threshold. Now, after you breathe through it, you want to do number 5, which is affirm your current truth. And I wanted to say new truth, but it's current because we're bringing it into the now. So after you located and breathed into the tension, affirm your new state of being. Well, what does that mean, Jason? Affirming your new truth and your new state of being means you meaningfully state your new normal state of being. If you don't have one, if you don't have this statement, this is how you build it. You're going to combine in any way you'd like. Maybe there's a formula and I don't know about it, but it's the parts of your goal, your actions towards that goal, and the quality you use to achieve that goal, right? And I don't think the order matters, but here are some examples. My focus, discipline, and honed strategy allow me to consistently pull profits from the market. So I found this tension, right? I let's say I traded 3 times back to back. I just wouldn't let go that this entry was going to go south, right? Sell off. And 3 times I got chopped up. So now it's there. It's here. I see you, Dason. You're here. You just made me take 3 trades in a row, which is written right here not to do. I feel you, right? I feel you right below my heart and my rib right there. I'm going to breathe into it. Not punching screens, right? I'm not trying to get rid of the energy. I'm trying to go into it. And I'm breathing into it a few minutes, 10, 30 times until I'm not going to let up until it lessens, right? I have no rush to get back to the charts because I can't trade in this state. So I'm taking all the time to address what's in the reality at this moment. And I'm breathing through this emotion. And then after I breathe through it, I'm using that affirmation, right? My focus, discipline, and honed strategy allow me to consistently pull profits from the market. Another example, my mindset and consistent actions create green days for me. Make it personal, emotional, and connected to your goals. You can say it when you're idle on the charts, right? And then you can say it after you've breathed through the tension. So you're breathing this in, you're embodying this to make it your new normal. You're doing this because as you're releasing things, there's a void. The old is gone. And if you don't bring in the new consciously, well, there are no vacuums in the universe, they tell us. So the old is more likely to work its way back in. It's like you evicted it from a house, but then you don't move any new renters. And they're like, oh, well, hey, why don't we go ahead and move back in? So 5 steps, 5 tips that you can use for the in-the-moment battles on the charts. Start with a plan and a goal. If things start to slip away, start micromanaging more. 2, self-talk, cheerleading. You're having these conversations all the time. You can direct them. You can benefit from them. No one's coming, right? No one is going to be there in your mind to cheer you up, to talk you out of these moments. Got to step up. You got to say what you wish others would say to you at that moment. You got to be your own coach. 3, talk to the enemy, call out the saboteur. Now, just to have clarity here, because we talked about, starving the enemy. What we're doing here is we're acknowledging it, but we're not having the conversation that it wants to have. We're not letting it force us to ask dead-end questions, right? Why me? Can it get any worse? We're just calling it out, letting it know that we know it's there, so it can't creep up on us. And then we go to number 4, breathing into the emotion deeply, right? And then 5, we're affirming that new truth. Thank you for listening. Give these tools a try. You can reach out to me, let me know how it goes, or if we need to tweak something. Happy to help. Have a great week, traders. And here's to being the hero of your story. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Trading Ascension Podcast. I hope you're gaining valuable insights to support your day trading journey. If you found value today, I'd appreciate it if you could follow me on Instagram, Real Trading Ascension, subscribe on YouTube, and give this episode a like. Your support helps me grow and bring you even better content. Be sure to visit tradingascension.com for free resources, exclusive tips, and tools designed to elevate your trading. I'm inviting you back. Join me in the next episode as we continue to ascend together. Until then, keep ascending, stay mindful, and remember, your journey to mastering trading psychology and consistent profits starts with your commitment to personal growth. Yeah.